Okay, be attentive everyone. First of all, valuation of shares means valuation of which shares? Just one minute, huh? Abhishek, where were you absent yesterday? Evening also, morning also. Okay, meet me after the class. Now, valuation of shares, be attentive everyone. Valuation of shares means we are talking about valuation of which shares? Equity shares, preference shares or combined both?
Combined.
No, we are talking about valuation of only equity shares. We are not concerned with preference shares. Who are the main owners of the company? Equity shareholders. Okay. Who bears the main risk of the company? Equity shareholders. Preference shareholders get fixed return only in the form of dividend. So valuation of shares means very first we need to understand we are going to find the value of which shares? Equity shares. Now why do we need to find the value of equity shares? See, whenever you are purchasing any company, selling any company, then valuation of that shares will be required. Suppose XYZ Limited is going to take over ABC Limited. Then it will be first interested in knowing what is the value of equity share of ABC Limited. And then on the basis of that, how the purchase consideration is to be given. Because if the value of ABC Limited shares comes to 250 rupees and the value of XYZ Company Limited shares is 500, then for every share of ABC Limited, XYZ will give only half of the shares. Because their shares value is 500. So half of that if they give them, if they have 100 shares, they give them 50, then its value will come automatically equal to 250. So there are many practical situations during amalgamation, during absorption, during reconstruction, even when shareholders are buying and selling the shares in stock exchange. They first want to know what is the book. Here what we will be finding is the book value of the share. Value of shares which is asserted from the books of accounts. So even investors are interested in knowing what is the book value of the shares and what is the market value. Is market value much overvalued, undervalued? What is it exactly? So valuation of shares is to be done at different points of, and in various circumstances it is required to be. Okay, but valuation of shares means we are talking about valuation of which shares? Equity shares. Is everyone clear with that? Now, we are going to study. क्या बात कर रहे हो? Means you come at 8 o'clock every day. Otherwise you come on time every day. Yes, so valuation of shares means which shares? Equity shares. And we are going to study 3 methods of valuation of equity shares. One is intrinsic value of shares. We call it as IVS also. And this is what I was telling you earlier. This intrinsic value of shares was a chapter in mathematics in 12th standard when we were in 11th and 12th. So this is what you are studying in SYBCom. It was studied as a part of mathematics when I was there in 12th standard. So intrinsic value of shares, and it is also called by several names that we'll see later on. Second is yield method. In yield method, either you can find yield on the basis of dividend, or you can find yield on the basis of earnings. And third is fair value of shares. Basically, once first 2 are done, then fair value of shares, fair value method will not involve any new point. Because fair value is just the average of these two. Means what we are supposed, third method is intrinsic value of shares plus yield value of shares divided by 2. So fair value of shares, no new point will have to be understood. It is just the average of the first 2 methods. Is everyone clear with it? These 3 methods we have to study it. The most important is intrinsic value. Okay, because majority examples in practice are intrinsic value. So first you note down this. Now we understand the first one, that is intrinsic value of shares. Put your pens down. First one, intrinsic value of shares method. First of all, this method itself is also called as net asset method. and it is also called as asset backing method. So in case if any of these names are given in exams, majority questions we will solve by the name intrinsic value. But if any of these names are given, don't treat it out of syllabus. Okay, the other names of intrinsic value are net asset method and asset backing method. Now like in capital employed, we studied two methods, direct and indirect. Here also we have two methods, direct and indirect. And since capital employed is there, it will be very easy for you to understand it. Like how do we used to find capital employed by direct method? Share capital plus reserves and surplus minus non-current assets minus other non-current assets minus non-trade assets. I made you insert that later on, minus non-trade assets, right? Now here we are finding the value of shares. Which shares? Equity share capital. So instead of share capital, we take only equity share capital. In capital employed, it included equity share capital as well as preference share capital. But here, when we take share capital, we will take only equity share capital. Okay, further what did we add? Reserves and surplus, that will add here. Further what did we minus? Other non-current assets, that will minus here. What does that other non-current assets include? Preliminary expense, underwriting, commission, discount on issue of debentures and so on. That we will minus. And what else do we use to minus? That will not minus. Because when finding the value of equity share, then trade and non-trade assets both are included. Whether the money is getting invested in the company or outside company does not make any difference. Equity shareholders have invested the money. Now that money is fetching returns from the company or outside the company does not make any difference. So even if the company invests that money in a property which the company gives on rent, non-trade asset, then even that rent income will get distributed as dividend to the shareholders. Even if the company has invested the money in shares and debentures and government securities outside the business, whatever interest is earned on that, dividend is received on that, from that the share will be given to equity shareholders also, because their money is finally getting invested. They are the owners of the company. So while finding the value of equity shares, instead of share capital we will take only equity share capital plus reserves and surplus minus non-current assets, other non-current assets only. Will not subtract non-trade assets because trade and non-trade both investments are taken into consideration. Is everyone clear with it? So here our value, how would you find the total assets available for equity shareholders? Equity share capital plus reserves and surplus minus other non-current assets. Now I am not writing in detail what do they include. Okay, will not minus non-trade assets. And what you will get is net assets available for equity shareholders. Means whatever is the final investment of equity shareholders that will be obtained from this. Is everyone clear with it? Now tell me, how did we find the capital employed by indirect method? Fair value of trade assets minus fair value of external liabilities. Now here we will take fair value of trade and non-trade both assets and will include goodwill also. While calculating capital employed, did you include goodwill? Here you will include the value of goodwill because even the reputation of company should be included in the value of equity shares. And many times, majority examples of this chapter, what will happen? First we have to find the value of goodwill. And the value of goodwill which we find, either by average profit, super profit, capitalization or annuity method, that value of goodwill is to be included in the valuation of shares, not the goodwill which is given in the balance sheet. So it will be dual examples. First you have to find the value of goodwill, then you have to find the value of shares. So if you have missed out valuation of goodwill, it's difficult for you to understand valuation of shares. Is everyone clear with this? Because majority examples, first we have to find the value of goodwill. So what is the difference? There in fair value, we included only trade assets. Here you will include fair value of trade assets as well as non-trade assets, and you will also include goodwill. Only other non-current assets is the item which you will not include. And you will minus what? Fair value of external liabilities. Also you will minus preference share capital. Because we are finding the value of equity shares only. Did we include preference share capital here? Whatever is not included here is to be taken in indirect method. So even preference share capital is going to get subtracted. And logic I explained you through the balance sheet in the last chapter. So when you find the same by indirect method, then how would you find the valuation of shares? Means net assets available for equity shareholders. First you will take fair value of all assets. All assets means trade, non-trade and goodwill. All the three are included. Any doubt in this? Trade assets are also included, non-trade assets are also included, goodwill is also included. Minus fair value of external liabilities. You'll get net assets. And further, when you minus preference share capital, when you minus preference share capital means these are the net assets of the company. Out of that, this is the amount invested by preference shareholders. So remaining is the amount invested by equity shareholders. You get net assets available for equity shareholders. Did everyone understand this? Any doubts on it? So either you can find net assets available for equity shareholders by direct method, equity share capital only, not preference share capital, plus reserves and surplus minus other non-current assets. Okay, one more thing. If you do it by direct method, what is the problem? Why we tell you don't do it by direct method, though it is short and simple? Why we don't do it by direct method? I explain the reason behind that. We have done no examples by direct method, all by indirect method only. Means we have taken 8 to 10 assets, then minus 3-4 liabilities. Whereas we could have done simply 2 additions and 1 subtraction. I told you why we don't take this, because then in that situation, each and every asset and liabilities profit is to be added separately and loss is to be subtracted. So this becomes practically more lengthier. Because each and every asset you have to compare, its value is 2 lakhs, in balance sheet 150, so add 50,000 here. Whereas when you take here directly the fair values, those profits and losses are automatically taken into consideration. So it is always advisable that we do it by which method? Net indirect method. Is everyone okay with this? After that, how will you find the intrinsic value of share? Intrinsic value of share will be equal to net assets available for equity shareholders. Net assets available for equity shareholders, this is the total investment of equity shareholders, divided by number of equity shares. You will get the value of 1 equity share. Did you understand this? What formula will you apply for intrinsic value of equity shares? Net assets available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. And we will always be using which method? Indirect method. Any confusion in this? Put it down completely. So what are the difference in capital employed and valuation of shares, net assets? All are clear with it? In capital employed, we included only trade assets. Here we will include non-trade assets also. Moreover, we did not include goodwill because we were finding the value of goodwill. Here we will include goodwill also. And there we did not subtract preference share capital because we obtained capital employed from both point of view, equity plus preference. But here we are finding the value of equity shares only. So you have to minus preference share capital. Did that? Now 2 points are to be understood. Listen everyone. Suppose the company has 50,000 shares of 10 each fully paid up. And company has one more 20,000 shares of 10 each 8 paid up. means 2 rupees of final call is not made by the company on those 20,000 equity shares. Now what we are supposed to do here is, here the 20,000 equity shares of 10 each, 8 paid up. How much is final call still pending? 2 rupees. We call it as notional call. What do we call it as? Notional call. Notional means something which is abstract, not real. So really that money is not collected by the company, but we include it as if it is collected. That's why we call it as notional call. What we will do is that 20,000 equity shares into 2 rupees, total amount of notional call 40,000, will added here at the end. Means we will assume as if that 40,000 is paid by the shareholders and that amount is also invested in the company. And then once you get the final value of shares, what is, you are going to get the value of 1 share. What is the 1 share amount notional call? 2 rupees. That you will minus here. Now the question arises, what is this nonsense? Why do we add it first then minus it? Because if you don't add 20,000, then directly you will get the final answer which we obtain after subtracting 2 rupees. Then the question arises, why do we add 20,000 and then minus 2 rupees? If we don't do that directly we get the answer. The reason is the company has 2 shares. One is 50,000 shares of 10 each fully paid up. So we have to find the value of 2 shares. One is fully paid up shares, the other is partly paid up shares. When you apply this formula considering that 40,000, you will get the value of fully paid up shares, which is 10 rupees shares. And then when you minus that 2 rupees, you'll get the value of partly paid up shares, that is those 20,000 shares. So we always need the value of both the shares, fully paid up as well as partly paid up. So first in this net assets you will add notional calls total amount. And then from the final answer you will minus per share amount of notional call. Did anyone understand this? So write down as note 1. If there are partly paid up shares then total amount of notional call, or if you understood what is notional call? Total amount of notional call will be added in net assets available for equity shareholders and per share amount of notional call will be subtracted from the final value of shares. From the final value of shares. Any confusion with this? All are clear with it? Further, suppose company has 50,000 shares of 10 each, 20,000 shares of 8 each, not 10 each, 8 paid up. 20,000 shares of 8 each means 8 is its face value. And let us say one more, 10,000 shares of 5 each. Means company is having 3 different face value of shares. One shares with face value of 10, one shares with face value of 8, and one shares with face value of 5. Now the question arises, can we take number of equity shares as 50,000 plus 20,000 plus 10,000, 80,000? Is it logically correct? 50,000 shares are of 10 rupees, 20,000 shares are of 8 rupees, and 10,000 shares are of 5 rupees. So how can we take total number of equity shares 50 plus 20 plus 10, 80,000? They are of different face values. We have to take as if all the shares are of same face value.
10.
Best is 10. Any face value you can take, final answers will be correct one. But best is to take 10 rupees. So 50,000 shares will include 50 only. But 20,000 shares of 8 each, if they were of 10 rupees, 20,000 into 8, what is its total share capital?
1,60,000.
If they were of 10 rupees, they would be equal to only 16,000 shares. 1,60,000 divided by 10, 16,000. So we will not add 20,000, we will add 16,000. Raise your hand who did not understand this. 20,000 shares of 8 each. What is the total share capital, paid up capital? 20,000 into 8? 1,60,000. If they were 10 rupees shares, then 1,60,000 divided by 10, then they would be equal to how many shares? 16. If they were 10 rupees shares, then on 16,000 shares, shareholders would have paid 10 rupees and still the total amount would come 1,60,000. So as 8 rupees shares, when they are paying 8 rupees, they are paying on 20,000 shares. If they are paying 10 rupees, they would have paid on 16,000 shares. So we will not add 20,000, we'll add 16,000. Total share capital remains same. And now 50,000 and 16,000 can be compared also. Because both are of 10 rupees. Same way, third category, 10,000 shares of 5 each.
Yes.
So 10,000 into 5, what is the total capital?
3,000.
Divide by 10. 5,000. As 10 rupees, they will be equal to only 5,000 shares. So we will take 50,000 plus 16, 66 plus 5, 71,000 shares. Now, what we are doing finally? Suppose after dividing by 71,000 shares, you get value of 70 rupees. Suppose after dividing by 71,000 shares, finally value of shares come to how much? Now this 70 rupees is the value of 10 rupees shares, 8 rupees shares or 5 rupees shares? 10 rupees shares because we have taken all shares of 10 rupees. Then you make an equation and find the value of all the shares. For 10 rupees it is 70. So for 8 rupees what should be the value of shares? 8 into 70 divided by 10, 56. For 5 rupees it will be half, 35. 5 into 70 divided by 10. So those shares which are of 10 rupees, 50,000, their value will be 70 rupees. Those shares which are of 8 rupees, their value will be 56 rupees. And those shares which are of 5 each, their value will be 35 rupees. Did everyone understand this? So that on the third note. All are clear with this third point? Second note, sorry. If there are shares with different face values, then in calculating IVS, intrinsic value of shares, okay? In calculating IVS, comma, take the number of equity shares, okay, this denominator, take the number of equity shares as if all are of same face value, in bracket preferably 10, preferably rupees 10. Any confusion in this? So we will take as if all the shares are preferably rupees 10 face value. Full stop. After finding IVS, find the value of all the shares. Find the value of all the shares by making an equation. Okay, that equation will make 10 rupees this much. So 8 rupees, how much? We'll find the value of all the shares by making an equation. Any confusion in this? Look at the first question. In college, any pamphlet of valuation of shares has been issued? Goodwill I got it on WhatsApp, but shares I haven't. Page 61, question 1. Did you take it out, everyone? Okay, page 61, question number 1. The following is the summarized balance sheet of a limited company as at 31/12/2006. Now, we have to see from valuation of shares point of view. Okay. Earlier, did we used to take on 10%, 10,000, 5% preference shares of 100 is fully paid up? No. But now you put tick on that because we have to minus preference share capital. So from capital employed point of view, will not consider it. But from equity shares point of view, we have to consider that. 2 lakh equity shares of 10 each? No. General reserve? No. Profit and loss? No. Debenture? Take on that, that is an external liability. Sundry creditors? Take. Liability for expenses? Take. Fixed assets? Take. Even investments? Take, because we include trade as well as non-trade. If we were finding capital employed, we would not have included investments. Take stock trade. Debtors take, cash in bank take. All assets will be taken into consideration. For the purpose of valuation of shares, fixed assets are to be depreciated by 10%. So instead of 38 lakhs, what value we will take? 38 lakhs minus 10%, 3 lakh 80,000, 34 lakh 20,000. Did everyone understand this? Investments to be taken at rupees 10 lakh 80,000. So instead of 10 lakh 25,000, we'll take its value 10 lakh 80,000. Sundry debtors are to be reduced by 5%. So do it 2,78,000 minus 5%. 14,900 if you subtract it, then 2,63,100. 264,100. Is everyone clear with this? Then interest on debenture is due for 9 months. So do you have that on the liability side?
Yes.
Interest do you have on the liability side?
No.
But that is also a liability. It is due for 9 months. So when we count it, we'll have to take it as a liability. How will you count 9 months interest? How much is debentures on liability side? 8 lakhs. Abhishek, what is the rate of interest? 6%. For 9 months it is outstanding. Do it 8 lakhs into 6% into 9 by 12. 36,000. Is everyone clear with this? So we will take this 36,000 also as external liability. Any doubt with this? Along with debentures right now, 9 months interest. Along with debentures on liability side. So that you remember, we have to take 9 months interest also. Further, preference dividend for 2006 is also due. So preference dividend is also due, means that also we have to take, because that we have to pay before equity shareholders. So see liability side for this preference share capital, 10 lakhs. What is the rate of dividend on preference shares? 5% preference shares, do you find it? What is 10 lakhs 5%? 50,000. That also we will minus along with preference share capital. So along with preference share capital, write down their preference dividend. That is also an external liability from equity shareholders point of view. Did you understand this? Neither of these has been provided in the balance sheet, and we have seen they are not appearing in the balance sheet. Calculate value of equity shares by intrinsic value. Did you understand it? First, we have to find this net assets available for equity shareholders. So directly we begin with the calculation. Fair value of all assets. Here we will take fair value of all assets. Okay, that means trade also, non-trade also, and goodwill also. So assets side, fixed assets. Assets from balance sheet, but values from adjustments. Okay, so write down everyone. Fixed assets, 38 lakhs minus, we have to provide depreciation of 10%. So 34 lakh 20,000. Any confusion in this? After fixed assets, investments. Now in the adjustments, investments value is directly given 10 lakh 80,000. Adjustments, paragraph 10 lakh 80,000. Okay. Stock in trade, we will take as it is 5 lakh 75,000. Debtors, we will reduce by 5%. So in bracket 2 lakh 78,000 minus 5%. 2 lakh 64,100. and cash and bank as it is 2,25,000. Anyone who did not understand this? Now 34, 44, 49, 51, 53, 54, 55, 30, 55, 50, 55, 64, 100.
5564.
Okay. From that we have to minus fair value of external liabilities. Now on the liabilities side we have 6% debentures of 8 lakhs. Along with debentures, what do we have to minus?
Interest of 36,000.
Interest also of 9 months. So accrued interest on debentures. Okay, accrued interest on debentures 8 lakhs into 6% into 9 by 12, 36,000.
Yes.
Then we have to take sundry creditors 2,75,000. And then we have to take liability for expenses 1,25,000. So 8, 10, 11, 12, 36. 12,36,000 if we minus, then 43 lakhs 28,000 100. 43,28,100. What is that? Net assets. Now from that what we will minus? Preference share capital as well as its dividend. Okay, from that we will minus preference share capital $10 lakhs as well as its dividend, preference dividend $10 lakhs into 5%, 50,000, means we will minus 10 lakh 50,000,
32 lakh
32 lakh
78,000.
78,100. This is net assets available for equity shareholders. Are you okay with this? Anyone having any doubt in it? Now see on the liability side, what are the number of equity shares? 2 lakhs. Or if you see on the liability side, what are the number of equity shares? 2 lakhs, we find it. So if you divide this by 2 lakhs, you get the intrinsic value of shares. Okay. Who else is writing up till here? Completed everyone? Now we'll say therefore intrinsic value of shares is equal to net assets available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. That is equal to 32,78,100 divided by number of equity shares are 2 lakhs.
16.39.
Rupees 16.39. Did you all understand this? Anyone having any doubt in it?
No.
So, question 10 is your homework for the evening. I am discussing that. Be attended. Page 63, question 10. Okay, plus we'll also check that yesterday evening's homework. Yesterday evening I gave you 2 questions in homework from Hamlet. So those 2 plus this one, all the 3 should be done by evening, okay? Okay, question 10. From the following balance sheet of Alpha Limited, as at 31/3/2011, ascertain the value of each equity share of company by intrinsic value method. Will we take equity shares? Yes or no? No. Preference shares? Take. General reserve? No. Sundry creditors? Take. Provision for tax? Take. Other liabilities? Take. Goodwill? Yes. We will take all assets, trade, non-trade, as well as goodwill. Now we are not finding goodwill, we are finding the value of shares. Understood that? Goodwill take. Land and building? Take. Plant and machinery? Take. Investment, stock, debtors, cash and bank? Take. Preliminary expense? No, that is other non-current asset, that will not be included. For the purpose of valuing the shares of the company, the assets were revalued as goodwill 50,000. So you'll include goodwill, but with what value? 50,000. Means assets take from balance sheet, but values from investments. Land and building cost plus 50%. So 1 lakh plus 50%, 1,50,000. Plant and machinery directly 1 lakh. Investments book value means 60,000 itself. Stock 80,000 will take. Debtors book value less 10%. So 40,000 minus 10%, 36,000. Preference dividend for the period 10 to 11 is due. So preference dividend also you minus from preference share capital, that is 1 lakh into 10%, 10,000. So exactly similar question. Is everyone clear with this? Question 10 is your homework. Today evening we'll take more comprehensive examples including those notes. Okay. 6 to 7 evening. Bye everyone.